Hello, lovely people. I had an idea tonight for a course, and I have been mulling the idea of doing some kind of writing course, marrying the gateless writing work that I like to do and time outdoors and all of these physical skills that I have been trained to teach, including swing dancing, which I've done for years, and whitewater kayaking, which was a huge thing for me in high school. And as I was dancing in the mirror in my bathroom tonight, which I do on a fairly regular basis, I was like, oh, this is a thing that I am genuinely pretty good at. Not the dancing necessarily, although I do really like how I dance at this stage in the game, which is fascinating because I've gone from being like, with both writing and dancing and a lot of like movement arts in general, and also speaking, have gone from being like, I don't want to hear my own voice. It sounds weird. I don't want to look at my body moving in space. It feels weird. And I don't want to see my internal monologue written down because it feels incredibly threatening. And at this stage in the game, like my internal mental monologue when it comes to my writing is my bread and butter. And the less mediation I have put on it, the more I personally have enjoyed what has come out. And a huge piece of that has been getting positive feedback through gateless writing salons, which basically you show up however you want to. You do some writing, you have a chance to offer that up, non-mandatory, everything's, challenge by choice, or ease by choice. I think really that's it, is like, what do you want to allow yourself to find easeful? And then there's structured feedback, and you can have varying levels of structure depending on what instructor you're working with, but usually it's no questions or suggestions. You refer to the author, the writer, the narrator, the speaker, rather than you. So there's that like degree of dissociation. And I wouldn't say that it's like the end all be all of, ways to get through writer's block, but it's been something that's been incredibly helpful for me, because that positive feedback kind of functions as a bridge to positive self-regard, where it's like, if you don't have that internal monologue, where you're able to say, yes, I like my writing. Yes, I find myself interesting. Yes, I think my perspectives are valid. Yes, I think there is coherence even in my first drafts. To have other people who are literarily minded, at least enough that they're interested in writing, and I think everybody is creatively minded. And so if you're like sitting there and you're like, I'm not literary, it's like, okay, join anyway if you're curious. And so that positive feedback kind of functions as a bridge. And in terms of the physical embodiment, it's been a matter of really honing what I admire in other people. And so for me, that has been kind of a combination of lightheartedness, a combination of like flowing movements, realizing I really like breaks in music and really like musicality, where it feels like something is going with the music. I don't mind motions that are really descriptive with the music. Some people really like movement to be abstract. I'm like, if they're talking about calling on the phone, I'm happy to do some version of like literal miming of movement. Some people, I don't know, maybe find that tacky. And then, so writing, embodiment, and then just listening to myself speak, that has come from teaching, being a customer service person and running phone lines, and just having a huge volume of hours of conversation with my friends. I've looked on my phone the other day and like my call count was like 38 days of my life I've spent on the phone. And I don't know if that's just like a recent call period or if that's lifetime. I think that's lifetime of my current phone, which I haven't had that long. But I'm 100% okay with that because I really enjoy talking on the phone. So, if you're sitting here and you're like, any of number of these things, whether it's speaking in front of people, whether it's writing, whether it's embodiment, are things that have you stuck, I think what my game plan is to post up here some prompts each day, probably just using my photo booth camera on my computer because I'm currently on vacation. And yeah, and post what I'm building out of those prompts, because none of this is like some kind of thing where I'm like, yes, it's complete. I, have never had any of these issues and never am going to have any of them again. It's a continuing practice for me, and luckily I've gotten to the point where I find these things generally fun. And so, you will see my general antics up here, and you will also see some more structured class draft kind of content, which I think may be enjoyable. So, okay, I hope you are having a beautiful day, evening, what have you. Bye!